Well, welcome everybody. It's kind of weird, kind of doing a early show today, but I'm going to be on the Gourd Kings channel later, so I had to
Oh,
rearrange some scheduling there. So it'll be fun. I'll be going over Howl's Moving Castle, so that'll be fun.
nice.
And
Nice, great film.
Beard, how how are you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good. It's a rare early afternoon stream for me here. Luckily, my job it's kind of flexible, so I was able to move some things around and join y'all for this. This is a first watch for me. I'm
Yeah,
sure
glad.
nobody's going to be surprised if you know who I am. I don't watch movies, so this is all new to me, and I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Good. Glad you could make it. And for the first time on the show, welcome, Purple Valkyrie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you. It was happy happenstance that you guys are having a early stream, because even though it's early for you, it's 8 o'clock in the evening for me. So appreciate it. Thank you guys. And hail to the chat.
Yeah. Yep. Hail. Yeah. Let's say hello to them real quick. Sax. Hello there. Hope your voice is doing better. CLS. Hello. And Salty. Ahoy,
Howdy.
Salty. And we got Miss Sassy. Hello.
Always good to see you.
Nosferatu, the vampire, is in the chat. And that's about it. So yeah, this movie, great movie. I just grew up with this movie. So, Beard, it was your first time seeing it, right?
Yes. Yeah, Hitchcock movies, if I remember correctly, were a favorite of my late grandfather. I'm pretty sure this was one of his favorites. I'm sure I saw clips of it any of the times that I stayed over there at their place, but I have no memory of it. So effectively, yes, first watch.
Cool. What'd you think? First thoughts on it? What'd you think?
It pretty much pulled me in immediately. There's I think Valkyrie was saying there before we got started that I'm not gonna step on what you're going to say, but I could see how it kind of like it does take its time to get going, but there were a bunch of little things that I was noticing that I thought, okay, because I had no idea where the story was going, and it intrigued me and kind of drew me in, and it made me start watching. Like every time somebody's hands were doing something while they were having a conversation, I wanted to know what they were doing because it almost always was important. So
Right. Yeah, and keys seem to be a recurring thing in Alfred Hitchcock
okay,
movies too. So like Notorious, there's a scene in that where she has to get a key to the cellar, and it like from across the room it like zooms into her hand, and she's got the key in her hand. So yeah, there's a couple others like that. Purple, what was your first experience with this movie?
I haven't seen this film in probably 20 plus years, so I rewatched it today, and I had actually forgotten what a good film it was. It's very tightly shot, very strange angles, and I'm sure as we get further into it, talking about the plot, we can go into some of the details about it. But if I remember correctly, this wasn't one of Hitchcock's favorites, but everybody else seems to really love it. And I think
Yeah.
mostly that is because it has a great cast.
Yeah, definitely. I was just gonna say, of course, Grace Kelly, Ray Milland is the her husband in it.
Yep,
John
yep.
Williams,
Who plays my
Robert
favorite
Cummings.
character. Yes,
yeah, he's fantastic.
Yes.
he is.
Yeah.
And he was one of the two actors who actually reprised their role from the stage version of Dial M for Murder.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Go ahead.
Let me give a shout out to
Up
Nos. He
here.
says, "Oi, Purple, my favourite British lass. Good to see you, Nos."
Oh, where is it? There it is.
Nuss keeps trying to make me do a Cockney accent, and I can't do it.
Yes. Yeah, here we go. Hitchcock openings always have. He's always got good openings to his movies.
They do, and I wonder if anybody under 40 knows what a dial telephone actually is or how to use one.
Yes.
Yeah, kids will be watching this film wondering what the heck this is.
What is that?
Back in the day, you didn't want to have like too many friends that had 9s in their phone number because you didn't want to have to go all the way around and wait.
I always wondered if the British police did that on purpose.
Oh yeah, 999. Call 911, but be sure you want to call 999.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I guess you can get the police to your location faster in the U.S. back in the day. This just opens so normal, but then very quickly, it just something seems up like it's too normal.
Yes, Ray Milland did conniving very well, and as you correctly said, he gets worse or more secretive as the film goes on. But I think originally Hitchcock wanted Cary Grant to play the role, but they didn't think he'd make a very good villain.
I did notice something when I was watching this. When he sits down at the table, and I don't think it was planned. He tosses a couple letters on the table and knocks over the salt, and he just very instantly, very naturally sets everything up, and then acts like he picks some salt up off the table and just throws it over his shoulder, just immediately, just like that just looked like something that just happened, and he just played into it really well. It makes him like very believable. It's just like a regular person.
Yeah.
And apparently, I was reading the Queen Anne coming into dock was a big deal, obviously, because there wasn't really a lot of transatlantic flights at that time. So having this huge ship come into dock was a really big thing.
Yeah.
It's like immediate. Oh, wait. That's not her husband? What?
What?
I just immediately it's going from like, nice kiss. Let me get you a drink. It's like it's kind of like when something starts feeling off.
And how beautiful does Grace Kelly look? Yes.
Oh yes. Yes.
She is stunning, and I really want a version of that dress.
Yeah. Never seen wearing the same dress in every scene or same outfit. I think that was a thing for her.
It was, and I think it's noticeable in this film especially. She starts off with the bright colours, and as the film progresses, she gets into the more muted colours for reasons that we'll get into.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Robert Cummings as Mark? I thought he played a really good role.
Yeah. I mean, the four main, I think all really did a very good job.
Yeah, definitely. Including the bad guy that breaks into the house.
Yes. And he was the other guy that Anthony Dawson, that was who reprised his role from the stage.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's like here. She thinks her husband knows or something. I think she suspects that he knows.
I mean, to be fair, they're not great at keeping this affair secret, really.
No.
Yeah. No. I think it's one of those like unspoken agreements. Like they both know. It's just that I guess especially for the times, it looked bad if they just immediately split up and then she was immediately hooking up with another guy right after that.
Oh,
People would
yes.
talk.
It
Yeah.
would be a scandal, yeah, most certainly, especially for someone in her position. She was supposed to be like a socialite, wasn't she?
Yeah. And her husband is a gambler.
Oh, yes, very much. I miss the old films where people would just casually have a glass of alcohol in one hand and a cigarette in the other.
Yeah. Like, hey.
Any time of the day or night.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, what's he got to
Walk
do?
onto
He's
set with
he's
your
a
cigarette and
retired
your
tennis player.
gravel. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've said before, I don't know if I told you, Jacob, I've made the joke that if I ever actually started anything on my channel, it would just be me sitting outside with a glass of whiskey and a cigar. So I totally get that vibe. I wouldn't even say anything. I'd just drink and smoke and then turn the stream off.
Do it. Just do it in different locations every time. Yeah.
I mean, it's a laptop. I can take it anywhere I want. As long as I've got internet.
Yeah. She's been getting anonymous letters saying, "Hey, I know what you're doing."
Anonymous, yes. And so he
Trying
said,
to
"I want
blackmail
all
her.
the furniture in this movie and all the liquor."
Yes.
That's an impressive bar, to be fair. It's got a nice setup.
Yeah, it is.
I think this is the version that I watched as well. It looks a little bit flat because originally it was supposed to have been shot in 3D because that was the thing at the time.
Yeah.
But apparently test audiences hated it, so they switched back to the 2D. But it doesn't look great, honestly.
It's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, I think Hitchcock said that he got in very late with the 3D craze.
Nos, I imagine Jacob constantly wears a dapper suit during these streams with slick back hair, smoking a cigar.
Yes.
Always.
Through my helmet.
And so, I mean, in short, here, like, she's got an incriminating letter that she hadn't gotten rid of, and her bag got stolen and came back, but the letter was gone. And then she started getting those messages basically saying, "I'm going to tell people what you're up to. If you don't go get some money and then send it to me." I like this little shadow separation.
Yeah.
Just right as the door opens.
Yeah. And then in walks the husband. Just very casual. "Oh, there's another man here. Hello."
Yeah, no, surprise.
And
so
the
going to a stag party.
Yes, a stag party. That's it. And the other guy that she's now seeing behind his back, he's a crime author, if I remember correctly, isn't he? That's
yes,
what he does,
so.
which comes into it later on.
Yeah, so they're going to a stag party, and she's going out somewhere.
I think this is where he invites him to the
this-
stag party. That's the next night.
That's right. Okay.
Like, I think they were originally
You're
were
right.
going to all three go out to see it's like a play or something like that, and then he makes up the excuse that so he can stay home and
Right.
start things moving.
Jumped a little ahead of myself there.
Yes, he's got things that need to be put into plan. Yes, he can't have the wife and the boyfriend hanging around.
I mean, there's just little things here at this beginning that kind of like I said, you start noticing that. I mean, if you watch Hitchcock film, of course you're going to know nothing's going to work out the way they think it is. But there are still little things like when the boyfriend said earlier, like, "Oh, that'll be nice. We had, oh, that'll be great. We're just having to sit around and say nice things to each other, or whatever." So he's already got this, and then this dude's excuse for not going out doesn't really sit well, and then it starts going to buy a car. None of this really makes sense. So like my brain's already thinking, how is this adding up?
So he's like, he gets him to come to the house to talk about the car.
Oh yeah, because he says he twisted his
all
knee.
These little... Yeah, right. And he starts setting up the house with these different things, gloves, and make sure his ruse of a bad knee.
Nope, can't answer the door without the cane.
No.
I really like this character, Charles Swan, or whichever alias he was actually using. I thought he was great.
So he's like, he immediately, I recognize you. You're such and such from... Even gets a picture or something.
Yes, it's like, we went to university together 20 years ago. I recognize you. Here's a picture I just happen to have on the wall.
You haven't changed at all.
You grew a mustache. Yes.
And there he is. There is the cameo of Mr. Hitchcock.
You know, I
love
swear
how it looks,
that
it looks like their heads are just pasted on.
It does. And it especially looks like they had to not only get what's his actor's Anthony Dawson's head, but then they had to also stick on a cutout of a cigar, because it definitely doesn't look like that cigar is actually in his mouth.
No, it doesn't.
Does it? None of them are looking at the camera either.
Yeah.
Everybody's off in different directions.
Oh man.
And the their cutout heads are a sharper image than the ones behind them.
Yep.
So that's funny.
There's an even more dodgy special effects coming up a little bit later on that we can talk about. That
I think I know what you're talking about.
You do, yes.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder how long he was planning this for, how long he actually knew about what his wife was doing, and when did he decide that we need to go through with this and she has to go.
Yeah, it feels like it must have been a while, because he starts running down through all the details of this man's life and how long he's been following him. And he's been following him through like at least 3 different relationships where he basically just used the women for money and then left, changed his name, and started over again.
Which is really impressive, considering this is like the 1950s and there was no way of Googling somebody, or you really had to do the detective work.
Yes, you have to stalk people back then.
The good old days when you actually had to do your stalking on your feet, not online.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, right.
Do you think Ray there looks like an ex-tennis player? Because I wasn't buying it at all.
No.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
I think he plays a fantastic role, but I would doubt if you knew which end of the racket to pick up.
Well, considering tennis in this time period was a lot slower than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could see it, but I don't know. I just don't see it very much.
Yeah, and the way
It's
he
like
just
this
starts
guy's like,
laying out all
"Who is
these
this guy?"
details of this man's life in just such a, it's not even like blase, it's like a cheerful manner. Like he's the smartest man in the room and he knows it.
Yes, and I always wondered, had he at that point just got up and left, what would he have done?
Yeah, right.
Don't do it, Cord King.
Yeah, I
Don't
love to
dial
see
M.
like, "Hey, Cord King." He
Oh,
hands him
that's just
something here.
slick.
Yeah, it's like, make sure not to get his fingerprints on it, but he gets the other guy's fingerprints.
Yeah, this is the point where I like really started watching hands. Slick move, real slick.
Yes. Tucks it back inside the book, back into the pocket. There you go.
See, and I think this is now where he also, like, pretty soon he's going to put down the cane because he's already got the fingerprint. So now he's got leverage. So he doesn't have to keep up the ruse that of any kind anymore and just lay everything out. Because I think you were right. Like, what if he had gotten up and left, but at the first part, but now that he's got fingerprints, he's got leverage on him. So now he doesn't even care anymore.
Yes. So the moral of this story is don't take stuff from people that you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He's like, "I would like you to kill my wife." It's like, what?
What? Just came here to scam you out of some money. And there is some really
He
great
finally
dialogue
notices, "Oh,
between
wait,
these two.
yeah."
Puts down the cane and then casually starts wiping fingerprints off of things.
Yeah.
At first I thought, oh, that's weird. He's just dusting the picture. Hold on. These are, okay. I get it now.
So he makes sure to wipe down everything except that one fingerprint he wanted to get.
Yeah, he doesn't want any evidence
And
that
then
he
makes
was
this guy put
there.
those gloves on we saw him put out earlier.
Because I think it's pretty soon he reaches for the brandy bottle and he goes, if you want more, could you put those gloves on? He gives him a look like, what do you,
Right.
okay, maybe not.
At this point, I would have been drinking straight from the bottle. It wouldn't have gone into the glass.
Right.
That smug look.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's one thing I get from this character throughout the film. He thinks he's so much smarter than everybody else. He thinks he's 3 steps ahead all the way through.
Mm-hmm. Totally not sus.
Yes. And they're talking about it so calmly, like, "Oh, I want you to kill my wife. Oh, what's in it for me?"
Yes. Well, for starters, I won't blackmail you about all the women that you've been trying to rip off. I think he also implies that one of the ladies that this fella has been trying to rip off is no longer with us either.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why he's moved on to the next one.
Yeah. And this whole scene between these two, for the most part, it's just a monologue. It's just one person talking for the most of it, and it's still just it grabs you and holds your attention.
It does, and it really does, at least this first part, play out like a stage play. You've got the 2 principal actors doing the back and forth, as you say, very tight dialogue, very quick, snappy lines. So I think the screenplay was by the same guy that wrote it for the stage as well.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Look, and he's enjoying himself. he's enjoying watching this guy squirm.
Yeah, he's got power and he is loving it.
Yeah.
I think my favourite part is when he says, "Well, how long have I got to think about this?" Well, it has to be done tomorrow.
It's like, what?
What?
Wow, this guy thought he was going to sell a car, and he got in deep really fast.
But I do love that they were trying to scam each other because he wanted to charge. I think it was £1,100.
Yes.
When he called the woman, she only wanted 800.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, he already knows that he's dealing with the guy who's got, let's say, gray morals, to say the least.
Yeah.
But the question is, which one has got a better jacket tie combo? I'm with our
Right.
the assassin.
I don't know. I think I like the classic solo, like single color. Although I could do without the high-waisted pants that are up high enough you can tuck your necktie into them. That's not my style.
You could tuck your beard into it.
Really could, probably. It already gets caught in zippers when I have a jacket on.
So the guy's like having to look around at the place.
Yes, and in the meantime, he's tossed him I think it was £100 just as an incentive. It just tossed it casually onto the chair to see if he'll take the bait.
And he's withdrawn money to pay for this, here and there, so it doesn't look like he just drew out a big sum of money right before his wife dies.
And his explanation, like, because he's asked, like, well, the police are going to look at this. Where are you going to say the money went? Well, the dog track, because he's followed him to the dog track. And he says, well, you'll check with your bookie or whatever. And he goes, just like you, I bet on I think the line on the word in the captions was like tout or something. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that's an off books slang term or something like that. So he's not betting the most reputable way, which is already something that you don't really want to be known for, is having a gambling addiction.
Right.
Yeah, I think he's asked, like, where is this going to happen? Right about where you're standing right now.
Funny you should ask. Yeah.
And this kind of overhead camera angle is really interesting. And it plays out for most of this scene as he's kind of laying out all of the pieces. It really helps with that cutting. It really helps the viewer get a sense of exactly where everything is in that room.
Mm-hmm. It does, and I think this is one of the few Hitchcock films where it's mostly set inside. There's very few outside scenes in this film.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's basically all in this room.
We're going to put a key under here.
Yeah.
So you can get in.
Basically sneak in, hide behind the curtain, and I'll call precisely at 11 o'clock. And she'll come out to answer the phone. You kill her. And very specific, he says, and then pick up the phone, whistle softly. I will say nothing, and then hang it up. But also throw this suitcase over here and make it look like you were trying to rob the place.
Yes, toss a couple of these absolutely I didn't win trophies into it. Yeah.
I mean, all things considered, he's got this figured out pretty good.
He does. He also gives himself a very credible alibi, obviously. So he's arranged it so he'll be out with Mark, the boyfriend at the time. So he'll have a stone
not just a friend, but his wife's person she's having
Like-
an affair with.
Yeah, yeah.
I think my favorite part with this, and you talked about the keys, is the putting the keys back and forth. It's really like a game of chess, especially as the film goes on, trying to get
Yeah.
these keys back into the positions where he
Yeah.
needs them to be, so people don't realize what's going on.
Right.
And it actually kind of got me with the keys, because I can't believe I didn't think of what ends up becoming of one of those keys later on in the film.
Yeah.
Just didn't even cross my mind. Wiping down everything again.
Just casually cleaning as I go.
Pesky assassin can't keep his hands to himself. What's up, Real Wade?
Hey there.
Oh yeah, and he's going through, seeing how the
Has-
light is, and he starts to walk into the bedroom. He goes, he like waves him back. It's like, it'll be seen from the bedroom window. Still trying to, like, he's, at least so far, he's thought of just about everything.
He really has. I think that's the central theme of the movie. Is it possible to plan the perfect crime? Can you actually do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's so easily like just start scanning the apartment and looking at the plan and such. It makes you wonder if he has done this before.
It's like, I'll just take this.
Just slip this in here. It made me laugh because they talk about £100. Like, it's nothing nowadays, but that was a lot of money back then.
Yeah. So it skips to the next night. He wants her to do her clippings. Like, is it clippings for his scrapbook, or is it her own?
I think it's her own. It's just things that she's collected over the years, and or as she's been traveling with him.
Yeah, that's kind of what the feeling I got. It was more about like her travels.
Have a quick martini before we go.
But
Get
don't
started.
water it down.
Yes.
Now, this is back when pre-gaming was classy.
It's not a dirty one.
Man, I could go for a dirty gin martini. It's been too long.
Shaken or stirred?
Oh, always stirred. You get too much water in it if you shake it. James Bond is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
He's a lightweight. Although there is a theory that he did shake and not stirred to water it down so that he could stay more clear-headed when he was out on missions.
Oh.
So maybe it was intentional.
Right. Maybe.
And this is a great scene because his well-crafted plan very nearly falls apart for a very simple reason, that she decides she wants to go out herself. So she won't be in.
Right.
Because the plan is, because she always listens to the radio at that time of the night, but she says it's a thriller, and she's like, oh, I don't like thrillers when I'm alone. So she's gonna like go see a movie or something. So immediately his perfect plan has fallen apart.
You can see the cogs turning in his head. It's like, I've got to keep her in this apartment. What the hell can I do? So he kind of spins it, and he's like, fine, if you want to stay, we'll stay. We won't go out. And then they have a little bit of a back and forth, and she says, oh, you don't need to be childish about it. I'll stay. I'll do the cutting, I suppose. And later on, they were going to have an argument about it. If he came back.
Yeah. Yeah, because she has to stay in so that she doesn't have her key on her, because that's the key that's going to be left at the stairs.
Right.
But I mean, we see it. He is a very quick thinker. So he, after pretending to have lost his key and needing hers, he finds it, quote unquote, finds it.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed he managed to find it in the lady's handbag. If you guys have ever delved into a lady's handbag, that's like going into a whole different universe.
That's when something goes in there, it might not come out.
It's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Exactly.
It's like Mary Poppins' bag.
Yeah.
I had visions of him turning it upside down and just everything coming
Mary
out.
Poppins' bag was a TARDIS. Okay.
That's right. She was a Time Lord. You just never knew it.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll stay if you want me to do my clippings. He's like, well, I don't, want you to have to. It's like, oh, this passive aggressive little.
Oh.
I'm already not liking him. They're doing a good job because I'm already not liking him. But he's also still so suave at the same time.
The boyfriend dips out to go call a taxi because he's feeling awkward watching these two argue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very slick. He's acting like he needs a little bit extra cash.
I like that she offers him the cash and he doesn't take it in the end. It's like, oh, it's fine. If he's got some cash, I'll just borrow it from him.
Then immediately another hiccup.
This little. Yeah, Mark is standing in the way, but he does this quick little thing here. He's leaning on the step.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you pointed out. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, when you pointed out about that, watching people's hands, I absolutely see what you mean, because you would miss that if you didn't see him casually leaning on the stairs.
Yeah.
He's like, he kisses her because he thinks this is the last time she'll be alive. It's like, oh, what a. Ew.
Yeah, you can hear it in his voice a little bit. Like there's a little bit there that almost makes it, like the way the line is delivered almost makes it sound like he is sad that he feels the need to do it. Like he's going to go through with it anyway, but he almost doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about wanting to get rid of her is he's basically penniless without her. He's blown through most of his money. He's not earning anything now because he's not a professional tennis player. All the money comes from her. Yeah. And should she divorce him, he would be left with nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like the shots we get going back and forth here between the watch faces. I feel like a movie these days would just put up a literal ticking clock for you to look at, just because you think the audience is stupid and don't realize what's happening.
This is one of my favorite scenes. I think this is so well done. He's just hanging around, watching the phone, checking his watch. What's going on?
Yeah, so he's got just a couple minutes till 11.
Yes, and I believe he said he would call it exactly. He had to be there 3 minutes to 11. That's something the time like he was told to be there.
Yeah. Then here's his watch.
I saw this.
Hitchcock.
The first thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Hitchcock didn't just say, "Oh, just go grab a couple of watches." I'm sure he picked out these watches for the design of the face of the watch.
Probably.
I would imagine so. I think he was very particular about the props that were used in a lot of his films, especially the wardrobes for his leading ladies, apparently.
Mark looks like he's about to turn green, all this smoke in his face.
The room's slowly filling with cigar smoke.
It's a stag party. If you can't stand the smoke, don't show up.
Right.
And that's when he realizes his watch has stopped.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
He
great.
says specifically he may have wound it too tightly, which I guess if he was, high strung and nervous, makes a lot of sense.
It does.
So he wouldn't want it to run out, so he would want it to be really wound up.
He's really close to just hammering on the glass to get this guy out.
I fully expected him to do that.
Just grab him and throw him across the foyer.
That's right, Salty. Scotch and lung disease. Real men. Of course, we get the shot with the actual M on there, and I like seeing the mechanics working.
Oh, and that finger.
switchboard.
That was the prop that I was talking about. That's not a real finger. That's actually a wooden finger.
Is it?
That's
It
a wooden
is, yeah.
finger.
That's
Really?
a wooden finger. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because it was shot in 3D, they couldn't get the camera to do a decent close-up on somebody's finger. So Hitchcock had a
Oh.
oversized finger built, which is why it looks so weird.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay. Was it an oversized
No,
like
that
pop
is
phone
hilarious.
It
too?
was. Yeah, all of it
Okay,
was
okay.
oversized. So
Oh,
you get
wow.
such a brief shot of it.
Yeah, it's so brief. I didn't even
Oh,
notice that
that's
it looks
crazy.
weird, but now that it's sitting still, it definitely looks weird.
Yeah. The nail is exactly the same color as the rest of the finger. Oh, that's crazy.
An attempt was made. I'll give them that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and it shows the switchboard too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My
and-
grandma used to work at a switchboard.
Really?
Oh,
He's like, no, it's too risky. We're not going. And then the phone starts ringing.
The phone rings. It's like, oh. Goes and hides again. This part, like, she says hello so many times. It's like, hello.
I mean, she was prompted to be expecting a phone call before her husband left.
Yeah.
And this is something I'd never considered before. If you're going to like try to strangle somebody and they got an old corded phone to their head, you got to wait for a little bit, especially if you don't want to destroy the room.
Yes. You
Yeah.
had to wait for it to put a hand up so we could get it around her neck.
And she starts to move down and he goes up and she puts the phone back up and he goes back down. It's like, come on, lady.
Time's a wasting. And to be fair, a stocking isn't a great thing to use because there's a lot of stretch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. That's what they switched it out for, because I think what we end up seeing is he had like a silk scarf.
Yes. Yeah.
They ended up
That's
trying, because she said it felt like it might be a stocking. I think that's why that gets substituted in a little bit.
Mhm.
When he's trying to replan his plan.
Yeah, this scene's pretty rough too
It is, yeah.
for the time.
I have to think the way that this is filmed ruffled some people's feathers.
Yeah.
I mean, that specifically when
but,
like he bends her over the desk. I was thinking that's like specifically shot to like suggest that there's more than just what's happening. And I have to believe that's intentional to make the audience feel uncomfortable.
Agreed, yes.
And it cuts to him listening to this on the other end of the line. That's crazy. He's like, I didn't think I'd have to listen to it.
Yeah. Do you think the look on his face was remorseful or was it horror? I was trying to decide.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so she grabs
Chekhov's scissors show up.
Yep, the scissors. Roman's favorite desert instrument, the scissors.
No, I was just referencing
the back.
the Chekhov's gun trope. If you see a gun on the mantelpiece, it's going to come into play later in the story. And as soon as I saw the scissors early on when he hands her the scissors, those are going to come back into play. Chekhov's scissors.
I can't help but think he overacted ever so slightly when he's staggering back. It's like hamming it up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, and having him fall on the scissors and show him like press into that. That was a good shot. That made me wince a little bit.
Yeah. It's that final crunch when he lands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, he doesn't know exactly what's happening yet. He's still waiting for that whistle. He doesn't know how badly everything has gone yet.
Yeah. And she goes to, I guess, dial 991. I don't know when that started over there. When did them calling 999? Has that always been a thing?
I think it changed, but I think by the 1950s it was 999.
Okay.
But I think later on in the film they said that there's only a police station like 2 minutes from where they are. So she probably could have leaned out the window and screamed, and they would have been there.
Yeah. And he's like, he tells her not to call the police, and he'll call the police. He'll be home soon.
I was expecting a slightly bigger pool of blood when they finally moved the body. It's just this little tiny.
He even says at one point, like when he gets there, he's like, "Oh, very little blood." It's a clever way of not having to like permanently mark up your set.
You just put a mat or a rug down, it's fine. You wouldn't even know.
So I did a quick Google.
It's all that smoking cigars.
That's what will do it.
It kind of dries the body out,
I'm seeing something that says 999 in the UK was implemented in 1937.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
It's like, oh dear, you're hysterical. It was just a small attempt on your life. Go to bed. I'll handle it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's okay, Dee. You don't need to talk to the police tonight. It's fine. I've got it covered.
Yeah.
And now
he's
he has to scramble.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, he is internally panicking at this point. But he's also like coming up with a completely new plot, which is on the fly.
He is, and I think you said earlier, he is very quick on his feet when it comes to thinking. Oh, there's that bag again.
Yeah. He panics because
he gets in his pockets like, where's the key? Where's the key?
She very nearly catches him. Very nearly gets him.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, don't use the good blanket. My mother gave us that.
I just thought it was weird that they keep mentioning that it's her bedroom. So is that implying at this point that they're not sleeping together? Because I'm seeing 2 beds. But that was a thing with films anyway, wasn't it? In the 1950s, they didn't show couples in the same bed together.
I mean, even today, people say if you want to actually get good sleep, you actually sleep in separate beds. It's the best way to get actually good sleep. But yeah, I kind of got the feeling that this was her place that maybe she had before they got married or something like that. So that's her bedroom because it's her house or her apartment, I suppose.
So he just moved in and brought his trophies with him and put them on the mantelpiece.
That's kind of what I got the feeling.
Just his trophies and his well-stocked bar. That's what he brought.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
the police officer on the phone he was talking to was very casual about you say somebody was killed? Well, what happened? I'll tell you when you get here. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. We'll be there shortly.
That's the very unbothered British police.
Yes. Oh, you don't say. There's been a murder? Really?
Just imagine, because he's put all of this accelerant on that stocking, he just went vroom. Just a fireball comes out.
Then he pours it directly on the fire, which that's always dangerous, buddy.
Yeah.
No, the sofa's on fire, the body's on fire, just everything's on fire.
I mean, that could solve his problem if his wife dies in a fire.
Yeah.
And so he takes stockings out of her, was it a mending basket?
Yes, it's a little sewing
Yeah.
basket. Yeah.
Puts one out where he found the scarf, and then hides the other one. So, and then plants the letter. Again,
Yeah.
very often he is the smartest man in the room, but even the smartest man can't plan for everything.
Yeah. It's
Yes. But at the same time,
Yeah.
look at what he's working with.
Yes.
She's in a almost
Yes.
constant daze throughout this whole film, and Matey wasn't
Yeah.
that smart, and now he's dead. So
it's like,
it's only really when the inspector turns up that he's got someone to match wits with.
Mhm.
yeah.
That's a great shot.
And I love they don't actually say it, but they bring it out like the detective knows the husband did something here. He had a hand in all this stuff going on. I think if they're a good detective, they can kind of suspect what happened, you know?
Right.
And he makes sure to,
Casually uncovering the other stocking.
The good old days when you could just walk around a crime scene handing out tea to the police.
Just step over the body. I
Intermission.
love that they left the intermission in.
Yeah.
So everybody go get some more popcorn, go get a drink, and then you can come back.
These exterior shots, let me tell you something.
What
It's
did you
very
think of
clear.
them?
Oh boy. You're pretty good for a rear projection fake outside,
Yes.
but you can tell that they're still in a set. Very much so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you couldn't just go around the corner, set up like a fake mailbox or whatever, or that pillar they keep showing to kind of get you the clue it's from that apartment building. You couldn't just go around the corner and film 5 minutes of footage. No. Dig into the stock footage.
Salty's absolutely right. You need biscuits with that tea. That's not proper.
That's really why they start suspecting him, because he didn't bring out biscuits.
Yeah.
Yes, he cheaped out on the
I think the
biscuits.
husband did it. He didn't bring any biscuits, man.
No scones. I wonder why there's no fuel left in that.
Mm.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out earlier, she's already after that event, she starts dressing darker. No more bright colors.
Yes.
Yeah.
There he is. That's my favorite character.
There he is. What other? He was in another Hitchcock. I can't place. Oh yeah, To Catch a Thief. He was in that.
Yes.
The Insurance Man.
And you can tell he's a great inspector because as soon as he walks in, he's scanning, he's looking, and you can see the cogs turning in his head. It's like, this doesn't add up. What
Yep.
he's telling me isn't right. And they did actually put a rug down over the bloodstain.
Yeah, they did. Just throw a rug on. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah, it's fine. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and we missed the part where Tony told his wife that he had told a little bit different sequence of events and why like the police weren't called immediately and things like that, just to get her to go
Right.
along with it.
And the detective has a nice pinstripe there
He
I
does.
do like that.
and a bow tie.
That's very smart.
I would rock a bow tie, but you can't see it anymore now that the beard has gotten longer. I have to fully commit. Actually, honestly, you could barely see most of a regular tie.
But it'd be a nice surprise. You could just lift the beard and like, oh, bow tie.
Just go bow tie. Like, I could tie my beard in a bow.
Hearing birds again.
Yes.
At least that one actually sounds like a bird that time.
Yeah.
I love how in most of the shots there's a lamp that's covering part of the scene.
Yeah.
It's very.
I guess, like you pointed out, since it was supposed to be in 3D, that's why they did a whole lot of that kind of depth with set and framing.
Yes, and it's why it looks so flat in this version. It's almost like it's washed out. I thought it was the one that I had, but apparently this is what they had to work with.
Yeah.
I kind of wondered if it was the colorization process, because wasn't this originally in black and white?
I'm not sure actually. That's a good point.
I've seen
Yeah.
screen grabs of both black and white and color. So I assumed that because a lot of the times, if it was originally black and white, and even though the colorization process has gotten better when they redo it after so many years, it still always kind of looks a little bit flat to me. So I just kind of assumed that's what it was. But I didn't know about the 3D thing. That could factor in as well.
He's like, he shows him a picture of the guy. He's like, do you recognize this guy? He's like, you know what? I do.
Now that you mention it, I've got a picture right here on the wall. Yeah.
But I haven't seen him in like 20 years. Oh, except for that time a couple weeks ago, whenever I saw him at the train station. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
And all the time he's trying to convince the inspector and he's trying to convince her as well because I don't remember that, honey. I don't remember that at all. It's like, you do. You were there. You remember that.
You're
When
in
you lost your
shock.
bag. Yeah.
I do like that the inspector here. He reminded me actually a little bit of Simon Pegg's character in Hot Fuzz when he's telling his new partner the most powerful instrument a policeman has is his notebook. And he's just always writing things down.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about watching the inspector.
And this actor, John Williams, who plays Hubbard, actually won a Tony for playing the same character on the stage.
Oh.
So
he
he
okay.
really knows this character inside out.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, we can also see that he's not really necessarily buying either of their stories because, like he said right there, why'd you walk around at the other side of the desk to pick up the phone? Why wouldn't you stand over here where I am? And she's still kind of having to deal with everything she just went through. So and it was a hectic instant. So she doesn't really remember everything super clearly, which kind of makes her story look like it's not credible.
Mm-hmm. And had she not walked round the side of the desk, Hitchcock wouldn't have been able to put his lady in peril scene that he does so well.
Right.
I appreciate that the attention to detail actually puts a slight bruising on her neck. That would be something that very easy to overlook, especially with older films.
Mm-hmm. I think you notice as well as the film goes on, she's more detached and dazed. So she just doesn't know what the hell is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, she experiences a massive amount of gaslighting throughout this entire story.
She really does.
Yeah, she does.
So I probably should have bumped him off instead. It would have been so much easier.
Yeah. But especially during some of this exchange, because she's already denied seeing the man's face because he attacked her from behind. And then she's like, it's dark. I didn't get a good look. And then she's talking about, how'd you know he was dead? I saw it in his eyes. So you did get a look at his face. Really good back and forth with that.
And she's like, I saw his eyes.
And then he steps in. It's okay, honey. You're hysterical. Yeah.
Shh. You're just being a woman. Calm down.
Exactly.
You go sit over here. Let me tell your story for you. I know exactly what you did. Let the men handle it.
Let's have a brandy and a cigar while we talk about it.
But yeah, this is where the things really start kind of falling apart, because I think this is the point where he said, well, he couldn't come through that back window because he would attract mud on the carpet, and so he had to come through the front door. Right. Plus, we found fibers on the rug on his shoes, and he starts kind of and again, see Tony, Ray Milland's character has to think on his feet.
And there was a great attention to detail when she goes outside after she's just been strangled. All the windows are wet to back up what the inspector has just said.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
every time they think they've got the inspector out of their hair, something happens. He's like, oh, let me put my hat back down and sit down.
It's like Columbo. Just one more thing.
Just one more thing.
One more thing.
I think he does that later on, like at the door, just like Columbo would do.
Yeah.
Oh, and there was something a little bit earlier that I thought was a mistake, where he sat down on that chair right there that he's standing in front of, and I thought, oh, that's where the inspector put his coat. That seems like something that would be easy to avoid from like being continuity problems. But then we end up just seeing in a minute here, the inspector picks up his wrinkled coat, kind of gives him a look like, dude, you sat on my jacket.
With all the furniture in that apartment, I haven't got a coat rack.
Yeah. Oh, they want to go out the back to avoid the public that are gawking outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has no idea what's going on at this point. It's like, what is my life? What is going on?
I know what you said earlier about her not wearing the same thing in any two scenes, but I think she's wearing this same thing through to the end of the film. I think the only thing that changes is when she comes back, she has no like lipstick or makeup on. It's like her final like descent into like depression or whatever, and like separating herself from reality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was the part where the inspector knows about the letter, but he sent her husband out because he didn't want to like cause drama if he didn't know about it.
Right.
And I love that Mark at this point is like, you know what, honey, the game's up. He knows what's going on. We better tell him. By the way, here's these 2 printed letters that she's been receiving for blackmail.
Right. Asks about the stocking hidden under the what's that called? An ink blot? An ink,
Yeah, blotting pad, I guess.
Yeah.
blotting pad.
Back when people used to write letters, I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, that needs to come back.
I still prefer handwritten notes to remind myself of things as opposed to putting them in a calendar on my phone.
I do too. I always
Yeah.
keep a notebook handy. Yeah. And I write in cursive as well, which apparently kids don't do nowadays.
No,
Yeah.
I can't. Outside of my signature, I don't. When I had to for some testing near my graduation, I had to fill out this thing officially in cursive. And by the time I got done writing that little paragraph, my hand was cramping so bad. And there's the last time I did, I'm just like, no, that's fine. I'll sign my name. That's it.
So we don't need to do this anymore. It's okay.
No. Look at his crushed coat.
Yeah.
How come everyone casually just leaves via the balcony? It's a good job they're on the first floor, like the ground floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, we're just going to go through the window.
So these I guess
this was
in
a
the
weird
courtroom.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Hitchcock couldn't actually spring for a courtroom setting. So
Yeah.
we just get this voiceover.
It does kind of work when you're looking at her kind of detaching herself from reality, because it's kind of like I could see how somebody would be going through the court proceedings kind of in this haze, not really remembering faces and things like that. Or just everything kind of blurs as it passes by.
That's some great stock footage there.
Yeah, like you said, there
Yes,
was an
it is.
attempt. Yeah, I think aside from the cab and the police desk, which is probably just tucked in a broom closet on the set, everything else happens right here.
Yeah.
And it's just full of furniture for the cameras to work around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the Mark here, he knows he did it. He had planned something.
So
I guess as a mystery writer.
Yeah,
I
put his
think
crime writer out.
Yeah, I think as a writer, he kind of figured out the only way that things could add up. But I don't think he's really figured out that he's talking to the guy who actually wanted to have her killed yet. I think it's just his creative brain coming up with these things. Because right now he's just trying to convince him, because the murder, you can't be they can't hang you for a murder that didn't happen. So you'll just spend a couple of years in jail. He's trying to figure out some way to save her, because they both acknowledge that they both love her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's so desperate to save this woman. He'll come up with anything. And it is interesting. I'm not sure if Hitchcock planned it this way. Obviously, this is set in the 1950s, but actually the last woman that was hanged for murder was in 1955.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shortly before, UK? I think it was in the UK. I think 1964 was the last official time anyone was executed.
Yeah, there was a couple in the U.S. around the same time that was executed too, and it was the last woman that was, I think it was hung. So it might have been the same time period.
And interestingly, she actually was convicted for taking out her lover. So it's funny how art imitates life or vice versa.
Yeah.
Again, he's having to like think on his feet, like what holes can he poke in the plan that is essentially his perfect plan to make it sound like it's logical that he wouldn't go forward to do that to save her life.
And you can tell all he really wants to do is just say, "Shut up, Mark. Just stop interfering. We've got one day left
Or I'll
and I can get
hire an
away
old,
with it."
yeah. Be quiet, Mark, or I'll get a old classmate to murder you.
Yeah.
Just see all these pictures on the wall. There's got to be more people I can hire.
Yeah, right.
But it is funny. Mark does come up with a very credible, it makes sense as to why, and it would
Yeah.
save her life. And then you can see in his face, he's thinking, well, why wouldn't her husband want her saved? You know, surely you don't
Yeah.
want her to be committed for a crime she didn't do.
Yeah, but even though it was his perfect plan, he does a pretty good job of making it sound like it was way too crazy to actually go through, like to implement.
Yes.
I mean, because he failed at his plan.
Yeah, through his
It's
own
like-
hubris, which is even
Yeah.
funnier. Yes.
Like a bad coin, the inspector shows up.
Yep.
Like,
As soon as he did, I
darn
half
it.
expected him to slam the door in his face. It's like, no, not today.
Yeah, so he sent Mark into the bedroom where he hid that case under the blanket when Mark showed up.
Yeah.
And Mark
And
just
then-
can't help snooping.
Well, and we got so
Then
many
he
like
can get it. He gets a. Go ahead.
we got so many fake outs earlier, like when she was looking through her purse and we thought maybe she'd figure out that the key wasn't in there. I was thinking that maybe Mark's actually not going to find out that he's sitting right next to the case with a bunch of money and evidence and things in it.
Yeah.
But the inspector's just following up on some robberies, wanting to know if he's come into any money recently.
Yes, it almost. At one point when I saw this scene, I'm thinking, is he planting evidence?
I thought that
But he's
too.
he's just trying to catch him out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he keeps saying one thing, and then when he brings it back up, like when he talks about the money, it was like, something like 80 pounds, and then he says 100, and he goes, I thought you said 80. Oh, did I? Oh, yes.
He goes back and forth out,
Like this.
in and out of the door.
It's my key. Huh? It's like, oh, this is my key, right? I have a hole in my pocket.
Very slick. I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like how they casually just dragged one of the beds out of the bedroom and put it in the even more crowded room.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because for being a fairly nice apartment, it's basically a bedroom, kitchen, and living room. That's it.
That's London. It's probably several £1 million as well.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. I'm just going to light up my pipe. I'm on a victory. Tony's
Yeah, I think
desperately
this is
trying to get him at the door.
I think that's where he does like the one more thing right there, and he starts mentioning more specific details.
Yes, he even asks him, oh, by the way, have you lost a case recently? And he has to scramble and think on his feet. It's like, has somebody found that already? I must have left it in the taxi.
He's kind of on the opposite end of what he did to Swan earlier.
Yes.
When somebody else, when he's realizing somebody else in the room knows much more than he does.
Right.
And then you've got that back and forth between them. It's like, how much can I give away and how much do I think this other inspector knows?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And Mark has to absolutely spoil everything.
Dang it, Mark.
Damn it, Mark. So close.
And again, he has to think on his feet. How do I explain all that money?
I've noticed when he's lying, he gets into very casual positions. It's like before, where you said he sits on the inspector's coat when he's lying, and now he's on the bed. It's like he puts himself in a more casual, relaxed stance, almost so naturally so.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that. You're
Yeah.
right, though. You see, then he basically recounts his actual original plans. Like, could you believe that Mark thinks that this would happen and that I would do that? It's not believable. It's crazy.
Like, Mark, if you were writing this as a story, how would you write it? Let's see, go back and check, go through his bank book.
Yeah.
Inspector's like, dude, no, stop, chill out. I'm the cop here. Leave it
Don't
alone.
touch.
Do you mind?
I do like how the place just looks like a tip as well. There's just bottles and cups and things all over
Yeah.
the place.
It definitely does look a little bit more unkempt than before she was arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's to reflect Mark's state of mind. He's a lot more scattered in his thoughts now.
Hmm.
Everything's starting to unravel.
Yeah.
He sends him out to check, make sure like Mark's not waiting out there.
Yeah. And then he switches coats.
It's like I'm going to sit on his coat this time.
Ha. He's like, oh, finally.
It's like, glad they're gone. It's been 5 minutes since I had some whiskey. Need some more.
See, if he was smart, he would be on the first boat somewhere very exotic, very far away at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's still got to wait a day or two to get the life insurance payout that he's trying to get. Or the will, I guess, is what it is.
That's true.
So he's got the wife's key, or the key that was in her purse, which
Well,
is
he swapped it.
the husband's key, right?
Yeah, when he swapped the jackets,
dropped
that's
his
how he
key.
got the other key.
Right.
But it was a little subtle thing there. Like we saw that Mark was waiting outside around the corner, and Spectre's waiting upstairs. And which of course cues Mark to wonder what else is going on, because Mark just can't stay out of people's business and ruining their plans.
He really can't, can he?
No.
I bet he'd be terrible at, if you had a surprise party, he'd be the first person to tell. So this takes me back to what you were saying about the keys with the sleight of hand and how complicated it gets swapping all of these things around.
Mm. That was
Yeah, you're right.
that was an
She's
awkward
wearing the same
transition
thing.
right there.
She just
Yeah.
sort of appears.
It's like,
Yeah, I mean, if she'd been incarcerated that entire time,
yeah,
I mean, they'll give you clothes,
like-
and then when you leave, they just give you what you were wearing.
yeah. Yeah, it like cuts back to him and then cuts back and she came out of the film. Wow.
Yes, she went through the rear projection. It really is 3D. Oh my god!
That's impressive. Yeah.
See, I still hadn't figured out the twist
So-
with this key here. I wondered what was going on, and I can't
Yeah,
believe I didn't figure it out.
The detective, I think, put his key, took the husband's key out of the bag and put his key in it. So he's seeing if she knows where the other key is,
Right.
which of course she tries to get in, can't get in. So they know it's not her. She didn't know where the other key was.
I suppose they're fortunate that nobody else seems to live in this building going up and down
Yeah.
those stairs.
Yeah, right.
And also, for both being sure that that back window was always locked, they sure seem very confident that they can just walk around and get back into their house that way.
Yeah, I would class that as a security issue, but and at this point she is fully checked out. She's
It's like, what is
she thought
going
that
on?
she was about to be executed. She has no idea what the heck's going on.
Yep.
He's like, he took all the money, it looks like.
I mean, he did tell him on his way out the first time. He said, if I were you, I'd get that money in the bank right away.
Yeah.
And he's got to get that purse back to the police station real quick because he had sent her husband over there to retrieve some of her things, including her handbag.
Yes.
So he
Right.
puts the key that he had. That's when the switch happens, like you were saying, Jacob. He put the key that doesn't. Man, I follow it and I still can't explain it. It's you just
Yeah.
have to watch this, guys. If you haven't watched this, just give it a watch.
It gets complicated with the back and forth with the key. So the key that doesn't fit went in the handbag. The key that does fit he has and goes back
Yes.
under the stairs. So when the husband tries to get back in, obviously he's got a key that doesn't fit. It's
Yeah,
It's a lot.
And this
the plan was with the killer, he was supposed to take the key, unlock the door, and then put the key in her handbag. So the key that was on the step was going to be in the handbag. And the guy unlocked the door and put it back under the step. So that key's been there since that guy put the key there. Put the
Mhm.
key back under the carpet.
Honestly, you would have just had a third key cut at this point. It would have just been so much
Yeah,
easier.
right.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines. It's so awkward. She's like, I feel like I should be having a meltdown. I don't know what's wrong with me. And just like, oh, don't worry, you'll have the most glorious meltdown in a few days.
Yeah, right.
Could you not be hysterical right now, honey? Could you save it for?
Just
just wait.
don't
just
worry, you're
wait
gonna be
a
the
little
most crazy
longer.
person, and just like by Tuesday, probably. Just give it till Tuesday. You're gonna be in nuts. It's gonna be great.
I'm surprised they didn't bring out the tea. Just, would you like a cup of tea? Let's hear it. Go on.
I think Tony's used up all the cups. They're scattered around all over the place.
Yeah.
Nothing's clean. So here comes Tony,
And
who no longer
uh-oh.
he's got the inspector's jacket, so there's no key in it. And the only key he has is the one in her handbag that doesn't work. See, I'm getting it better at explaining this. I'm getting better.
So now he's gone back to get her handbag at the police station. Like, and here it is, the key.
And Mark's still being a busybody.
Because Mark, you were almost right, but you were still just a little bit stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
Call yourself a crime writer.
In addition to her being in the darkest clothes that she's worn in, the only time we see her wearing the same thing, I think they're intentionally filming her darker lighting as well.
I think you're right, yeah. And you said about having the stripped down, she's not wearing any makeup.
Right. Still a gorgeous woman. Let's be clear.
Oh, she's beautiful, yeah.
Actually, she kind of reminds me of some of her expressions. She looks a little bit like Nicole Kidman to me, like back in the movie The Others.
Yes, that's a good call, actually. I never considered that.
And the inspector's like, could you just wait a little longer, please?
Here comes that breakdown.
She's like, just wait. You're making me uncomfortable. Just wait a little longer, please.
Don't ruin this for us. We need you to be quiet and not sobbing in the corner.
It's like, don't make us put you outside again.
Yeah, they don't really say how many days have passed that she originally went down to the police station, but I get the feeling it happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, I think they had a couple of appeals to try and save her. So it's been a few months. So this has been dragged out.
Okay.
But really, it's quite a quick turnaround from
this is good.
Killing to.
Yeah. This part is good too. He's leaving. He goes down the end of the box. Oh wait, he's coming back. He's remembered.
Yeah, this is when we really get to see how smart the inspector is. Like, he can get in this guy's head so much he knows what he's thinking at the time.
Surprise!
Oh, I knew you guys were in here the whole time. Mark told me.
He's got people outside the doors. He's got a police officer ready to open to catch him. He's like, the game is up.
Time to pour me some of this Johnny Walker Red.
Yes, don't mind me. I'm just going to down this bottle.
Would anyone else care for a drink?
And she's like, I could use
he
something.
Offers everybody else a drink. Come on.
Yeah.
It's like,
he's a criminal, but he's a polite criminal.
Yeah.
And he turns to the inspector and says, I suppose you're still on duty. I love that how it ends with just the mustache comb.
Casually just grooming his mustache.
As one does.
It's a victory groom.
And there it is. The end. So yeah, there's Dial M for Murder.
Good film. And I know I think it was kind of a sleeper hit. I know it wasn't particularly popular when it came out. I don't think it did very well at the box office, mainly because it came out as that 3D version, which everybody hated, and they had to scramble to get another version out for people to watch. But it's become a classic. People really love this film, and I can see why, having rewatched it. It's so tightly shot, and the back and forth between the actors is wonderful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not a cinephile in any type of way, but so there are times that certain movies, especially older ones, when it's very dialogue heavy and just a little bit back and forth. There's not a lot of dynamic shot changing or anything like that. My brain just kind of starts thinking, what am I doing later? But that didn't happen with this. This is when somebody started talking like I said at the beginning, even though it was mostly just one guy explaining his plan to another guy who didn't say anything, it still held my attention. And it's kind of hard to do with my brain sometimes. So that's high praise, trust me.
Would you say this was one of Hitchcock's
hard to do that
stronger ones?
I would say it's like a mid-range, probably. It's strong, but it's not one of his best.
I'd agree with that. It doesn't really compare to something like The Birds or Rear Window or
Right.
I've never seen Rear Window. I've seen the 2 different remakes of it, but
you got to. James Stewart, man. Yeah.
I'll have to add it to my ever-growing list of things I need to watch, but I'm not on a stream for, so I probably won't ever get around to it.
Right. You could probably find that pretty easy.
I bet I could.
On certain streams.
It's
if
got to be out there somewhere if you go sailing for it.
Yeah,
yes.
I kid you not. It's a movies to watch list right here. I keep it right here, so it's going on the list.
Nice.
I'm like Captain America, like with his list of all the movies and things that he missed out on.
Yes. That's what it is, you know. That's why me and Beard are not millennials. We've been in a block of ice for a few hundred years, for 50 years.
And Salty's Rise. It is a brilliant film. See Rear Window.
Yes. Yes. Very, very unique film, and another film that's shot in one room, pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah, I don't remember many details of it, but I remember seeing they made a version with Christopher Reeve after he had his accident. And then the Shia LaBeouf movie Disturbia was basically Rear Window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, except his was like he was under house arrest with one of those ankle bracelet things.
But this was a real treat to get to rewatch these. I forget how good a director Hitchcock actually was.
Yeah, the way he did suspense was just phenomenal. Few can compare to his suspenseful movies. But yeah, and I love his what do they call it? Just popping up out of nowhere in his movies.
Oh, his cameos, yes.
His cameos, it's just great.
This was one of I even know to look for that.
Yeah. And there is one where it is not. He does not have a cameo because it's a true story. And he didn't want to put himself into a true story. But at the beginning of it, he tells that this is a true story and the events are actually happened. So it was pretty cool. It's a good one. It's the Wrong Man, and it's Henry Fonda.
I don't think I've seen that one. I don't think I've seen that. I will add that to my list.
See, I don't mind subtle cameos, kind of like what we saw with him in this, was just in the picture, or like how Peter Jackson was in every Lord of the Rings, but the attention was never drawn to him. I don't like the obnoxious cameos like M. Night Shyamalan and Tarantino, where they just have to insert themselves into the story. It's like, no. You just walk by the camera, we like point, go, that's the guy, and we move on.
Right. Those are like ego plays a big part there.
The only intentional ones are those I liked. And I know obviously he wasn't the director, but when Stan Lee used to be in the Marvel movies. That used to make me smile.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely
those are
didn't
okay.
mind that one. That was
Yeah.
as much of a tribute to his legacy as it was just
Yes.
a funny cameo.
Right. So yeah, that was Dial M for Murder. A fun movie to go over, and I'm glad Beard was available at this early time. I'm glad Purple Valkyrie was able to join us.
Yes, appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you,
Beard,
guys.
yeah. Beard, do you have anything you want to plug?
Most of this rest of this week's kind of a question mark for me. I don't have as much set in stone. Saturday night on After the Weekend, we're still going to plan on doing a weekend harder stream. R2 might still be out. He's kind of recovering from kind of fallen ill. So JT and I will probably throw something together, even if he can't be there. And then Monday afternoon, I've got, I think I'm going to be back on with Stark of Iron, and we're going to finish out our series on the Fallout vaults.
Nice. Those are fun. Those are fun to watch.
Some of those vault stories are
especially
crazy.
all the especially the clip with the mutants in the vault at the birthday party.
Forgot about that.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, he and Snail Messiah, they're fun guys to hang out with. I might be popping up there more regularly, so we'll find out.
Cool. Purple, you want to have anything you want to plug?
I'm not doing much YouTube based at the moment. I will be back. I know a couple of people have asked recently, so Purple, when are you going to come back on YouTube? I will be back, I promise. Just real life has kind of gotten in the way at the moment, but it's always a treat to get to join people. And thank you guys for making time to do this and bringing it forward. I really appreciate it, and thank you to the chat as well.
Yes.
Yeah, the chat was great too. It was a pleasure having you on, Purple.
Thank you. Great film. Good choice.
I might start doing a 2:00 one during the month, just to have other people on from over in UK, and so.
Yes, there's a lot of time zones to navigate.
Yeah, there are.
And this was a lot of fun. I'm glad I was able to get here as well. And Purple, you brought a lot of, like, I don't know, you made this feel lighter than I think Jacob and I would have done, just talking about a murder film. Plus you brought the facts I had no idea about, like a giant wooden finger and a giant telephone. I kind of want to get that and just put it back here.
Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. It's so good.
Yeah, right.
That would be amazing cosplay. Wow. You know, if you two ever went to a convention, one could be a giant phone, one could be a giant finger.
Just pose in front of the camera, leaning over. Just
just bring a lampshade and just bring it. You know, be obscured by a lamp every time.
I didn't even really notice that till you pointed it out. And as we were going through the rest of that movie, it just started like grating on my nerves. Like, oh, there's another lampshade. Of course, they're everywhere.
There's a desk blocking half the shot. It's like 3D doesn't work.
Oh, that's funny.
It was a gimmick.
Yes. That's so funny. Well, thank y'all for coming on again, and thanks to the chat for hanging with us. What's up, Jake?
There's always the replay, buddy.
And that's a great film as well.
Catch the replay,
man. Good film. Fritz Lang.
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody has a good week, and we'll see y'all next time. Have a good one, everybody.
Take care.